Let's graph this piecewise function. Now it's called piecewise function because it is divided up into two different pieces. The first piece is 1/2 x, where x is less than 0. So I'm going to use my graphing calculator. I'm going to hit y equals, I'm going to type in 1 divided by 2x, then hit graph. Now it is a line, so there's a couple things I can do. What I'm really going to do is just look at the table because of the 0, x less than 0. Since it is less than, that means that I'm looking at from 0 and then to the left, because that's all the x values less than 0 go to the left of 0. So when I look at my table, I'm just going to pick a couple of these points. 0, 0 is the main one I'm going to look at. Now when I do put the 0, 0 point, I am not going to draw a closed circle, I'm going to draw an open circle. The reason why it's open is because it's less than 0, it's not equals to it, so that's an open circle. And then -2, -1 is here. And then I just keep on looking, -4, -2. So that's an open circle. Connect the dots, going to the left. And now I'm going to graph x plus 3. X plus 3 is a line that goes through the y-axis at 3. So let's look at our table. Notice we're looking at the domain restriction of x greater than or equal to 0. So I want to look at 0. And that point is 0, 3. So what that means is I'm going to go to 0, 3. And since the 0 is included, because of the equal sign, I'm going to put a closed dot. And then I can plot 1, 4, 2, 5, so on, so on, so on. And then connect the dots. Notice, closed, open, because of the domain restriction. Now I'm going to try something right now. You're probably not going to like it, so you may not want to watch the rest of this, because what I just showed you, was probably the easiest way to do it. But you can do things like this. And I'm just experimenting right now. See what I did? If I look at the table, it's kind of confusing when I look at the table, because all those are zeros. It just means that my last point I'm looking at is 0, 0. And what I did when I typed it in, I did 1 divided by 2x, which is the standard equation that's given, and then x less than 0 I typed in for the domain restriction, and that less than is found underneath the test key, which is second math. So let's go back to y equals and hit enter. Let's type in x plus 3. Then in parentheses I'm going to put the domain restriction, x, and then second math, greater than or equals to is 4, 0, and then graph it. So it gives us something strange. So let's see if I insert parentheses around the x plus 2. I should be x plus 3, by the way. See if that does anything. Yeah. So the moral of the story is, if you are going to use this, be very, very careful. You probably want to put everything in parentheses. And you look at the graph, and you should see something similar to what you've drawn. The thing is that this graph is going to connect those two right here. You can't see it, but if it were out over, you would connect it, and you don't want them connected, so you have to be really, really careful. That's why you want to look at the endpoints of your domain restriction, 0, 0. So if I look at the table, you can see 0, 0 is for this equation, and then 0, 3 is for this equation. So I think I might not do this, but if you're someone that's adventurous, you might want to look at it.